There have been pledges to help the Afghan people at a virtual summit of the G20, but many have stressed this doesn't mean recognising the Taliban. The UK's initial response to the COVID pandemic was one of the worst national public health failures ever, according to a report by MPs. It says there was an attempt, in effect, to try and achieve herd immunity by infection. The British government minister responsible for overseeing Brexit has promised replacing the deal signed with the European Union over Northern Ireland with an entirely new protocol. The protocol aims to prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland while safeguarding the EU's single market. And Tigrayan forces in northern Ethiopia say a massive government offensive launched last week is causing thousands of casualties. The Ethiopian government insists it's countering the TPLF campaign of destruction and killings.
In the Philippines, emergency workers rescue people trapped by floodwaters in Palawan province, where at least 9 were killed and 11 are missing. In Kazakhstan, Russia's foreign minister says British media reports that Russia stole information about Britain's Oxford-AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine are unfounded. In the U.S., a small airplane crashes into a house in San Diego, California, killing 2 people and destroying 2 homes. And in Spain, liquid rock continues to pour out of a volcano on the island of La Palma, destroying a factory and hundreds of buildings.
We begin in Japan, where lawmakers continue debating policies laid out by Prime Minister Kishida Fumio, who took office last week. The discussions are growing more heated as Kishida plans to dissolve the lower house of the Diet on Thursday for a general election. In the upper house debate on Tuesday, the largest opposition party criticized Kishida's economic policies, saying they're not consistent.
What has happened to the income doubling plan you strongly advocated during the leadership campaign of your party? You didn't mention it at all in your first policy speech in the Diet, and you've already withdrawn your promise to increase capital gains taxes for the rich.
I took up the income doubling plan as a basic direction of my economic policy of raising income as a whole. And I discussed the review of the financial income tax as one option to narrow the income gap. We have more urgent issues to tackle, such as overhauling the tax system to raise wages and strengthening support for smaller businesses.
Fukuyama also asked about the government's outlook ahead of a possible new spike of coronavirus cases. Kishida earlier pledged to authorize the use of oral COVID-19 drugs within this year.
What people want to know about is the whole picture of the vaccination plan for December and beyond. I asked you, the Prime Minister, how much oral medicine your administration plans to secure.
We are planning to start administering third doses as early as December. The government will thoroughly prepare and make utmost efforts for the smooth rollout. Oral drugs that can be used at home are a key factor to contain the virus. We will do whatever it takes to procure the medicine to ensure the safety and security of the people.
Kishida touched on ways to restart the economy. An antivirus state of emergency was lifted across the country at the start of October. But restaurants and bars are still being asked to keep the number of customers down and to shorten business hours. And strict spectator caps are still in force for sporting and entertainment events. Kishida says he aims to start issuing digital vaccine certificates within this year. He said he wants to lay out plans to ease restrictions. Economic and fiscal policies, as well as coronavirus measures, will be among the main issues for the upcoming election campaign. Voters will cast ballots on October 31st. Now to the coronavirus situation in Japan. Municipalities in Tokyo are moving to downsize their vaccine rollout programs due to a drop in the number of applicants. NHK has learned from authorities of Tokyo's 23 wards that most of them have already scaled back vaccination programs or plan to do so. 7 wards will end either group vaccinations or individual vaccinations by the end of this month. Kogane City plans to close down its group site at the end of this month. City workers called on people to go out and get their jabs without delay. The program will be scaled down from next month, and shots will be administered only at the municipal public health center. The reduction is a result of a decrease in the number of residents who want to be vaccinated. As of Monday, about 64% of the nation's population had completed 2 shots of the vaccine. Meanwhile, Japan's national soccer team played a match near Tokyo on Tuesday against Australia in a qualifier for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. The government is trying out a so-called package system that identifies people who pose a low risk of spreading the coronavirus and allows them to attend. The maximum capacity for the event was set at 10,000, but around an additional 5,000 were allowed in after proving they were fully vaccinated or had tested negative within 3 days of the game.
I had been hesitant until now, but I was able to come with peace of mind thanks to this system.
Officials in Tokyo confirmed 77 new cases on Tuesday. The figure is below 100 for a 4th consecutive day. Over 600 new cases were reported nationwide. Thailand will reopen to some fully vaccinated foreign visitors at the beginning of November without quarantine requirements on arrival.
I would like to announce the first small but important step in decisively beginning the process of restoring our livelihoods.
In a televised speech on Monday, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha said the country would accept visitors from at least 10 nations, including China, Germany, the United Kingdom, Singapore, and the United States. The announcement came as the government is hoping to boost its struggling tourism industry for the New Year holiday season. The industry was badly damaged after foreign tourists were barred in April of last year. Prayut added that authorities are also considering serving alcohol in restaurants and reopening entertainment venues starting in December. But as the country is still seeing around 10,000 daily COVID infections, some are voicing concern about such plans. The Philippine Presidential Office has congratulated journalist Maria Ressa for winning this year's Nobel Peace Prize. She's been a critic of President Rodrigo Duterte's heavy-handed political tactics.
It's a victory for a Filipina, and we're very happy for that.
The presidential spokesperson made the comment on Monday, 3 days after the award was announced. Ressa is the co-founder of Rappler, a digital media company for investigative journalism. Rappler focused attention on the controversial Duterte regime and its deadly war on drugs in the Philippines. Meanwhile, in a 1-hour televised speech on Monday, the president made no mention of Ressa's winning the prize, drawing criticism from some media. In the past, Duterte has called Ressa's reports fake news. The Norwegian Nobel Committee named her and a Russian journalist, Dmitry Muratov, as the winners of the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts to safeguard the freedom of expression. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says he questions U.S. sincerity about whether it does not have any hostile intentions against the North. He made the comments at an event showcasing the North's latest military technology. State-run Korean Central Television reported on Kim's comments, which referred to U.S. efforts to reopen dialogue with the North. Kim said America is trying to signal it's not hostile, but its behavior says otherwise. Kim next took aim at South Korea. He said Seoul sees the North as a threat and not a partner. Kim said South Korea is trying to build up its missile program with U.S. support. Kim delivered his message while flanked by a variety of newly developed weapons, including an intercontinental ballistic missile. Well, a military analyst in Japan says there were 2 other weapons on display that are worth noting. Koizumi Yu is an assistant professor with the Research Center for Advanced Science and Technology at the University of Tokyo. He says the first weapon is a hypersonic missile that was test-fired last month, which he estimates has a range of about 5,000 kilometers. He says its targets could include the U.S. territory of Guam and that the projectile is designed to be able to change course while traveling in the atmosphere. Koizumi says the other weapon was what appeared to be a new type of ballistic missile that's designed to be launched from a submarine. He estimates it has just enough range to reach South Korea. A Japanese astronaut is preparing to make a return trip to the International Space Station in the autumn of 2022. Wakata Koichi is 58 years old. This will be his 5th mission to space, a record for Japanese astronauts. In 2013, he flew on a Russian Soyuz spacecraft to the ISS, where he became the first Japanese commander of the craft. This time, he'll travel aboard the SpaceX Crew Dragon, the world's first spacecraft developed by a private firm. Wakata is expected to stay on board the ISS for several months. Wakata says he feels optimistic about the future of private companies in space travel. As for the coronavirus, he says he'll train as hard as possible as the world works to get the pandemic under control. In soccer, Japan's 2022 World Cup qualifying campaign got back on track when the Samurai Blue defeated Australia at home with some late drama. Japan made a good start in the 8th minute when Tanaka Ao scored the opener. Japan had struggled in previous matches and desperately sought to widen their lead. But Australia leveled in the 70th minute. Aiden Hristich netted a stunning free kick after the referee originally called for a penalty kick. The match remained tied until the 85th minute. Asano Takuma fired on goal, but when Australia's keeper failed to clear, his defender deflected into the net for an own goal. Japan now has 2 wins and 2 losses in Group B and is 3 points back of Australia, which was handed its first loss. Other matches of the Asian qualifiers are being played later Tuesday. Stormy weather has brought a rocky start to the week in parts of the southern United States. Our meteorologist Sayaka Mori takes a look at the damage and the forecast in world weather.
Hello there. Inclement weather has pummeled the southern United States. Many flights were canceled in Florida, and in Oklahoma, large hail along with more than a dozen tornadoes reported. Take a look at this footage. Some ominous-looking clouds were seen in Florida. Heavy rain and strong winds smashed through Oklahoma, while hail caused a lot of damage for the area, some being as large as baseballs. The storms did cause damage to windows and property, but there are no reports of deaths or injuries as of Monday. Another system is already on its way to affect the central and southern plains. This system could cause large hail damaging winds as well as tornadoes once again across the mid-portions of the United States. Back behind it, colder air will continue to cause mountain snowfall. Parts of Montana has already had 50 centimeters of snowfall. It was the first significant snowstorm of the season. Temperatures will be 16 in Denver on Wednesday. It's going to go down to the single digits later this week. Cool in Seattle, 12 for the high, but warm and sunny along the eastern seaboard, such as New York as well as Washington, D.C. We are watching severe tropical storm Kompasu. Although the center has been over the waters, it has dumped more than 900 millimeters of rain over southern Taiwan, and Luzon had seen more than 600 millimeters of rain in just 24 hours. That's much more than the monthly rainfall for October. The center could hit Hainan on Wednesday before hitting northern Vietnam on Thursday. These areas were hit by tropical storm Lion Rock earlier this week, so we are looking at a return of severe weather. Meanwhile, we are still seeing cooler temperatures as we go into the next 24 hours. Sendai had seen a huge drop on Tuesday. The high was 17.8 degrees on Tuesday, although it was about 30 degrees on Monday. Cooler conditions will likely continue at least into Wednesday. That's it for me. Stay safe.